People often believe that major problems appear all of a sudden. In reality, most breakdowns preceded with a reoccurring signal. We tend to dismiss those signals because they don't seem urgent. Um, we begin to see those minor discomforts and frustrations and those minor delays or inconsistencies. Uh, they begin to become gradual issues, but initially, we just take them in stride, right? So, repeatedly postponing something that needs to be done, that is something that we need to look at. Explaining away reoccurring issues. These are patterns that we do to normalize the dysfunction that is going on, normalize those little signals that are happening because they are so familiar. It happens over and over again, and waiting for the undeniable big boom, the big proof that we need to take action. But you got to think about this, like, why does it matter? Like, by the time, when you think about it, like, by the time that the problem becomes obvious, by the time the problem becomes so big, it's often been developing quietly for some time. The greatest cost is not the crisis itself, it's the opportunity to address it where things were missed all along the way. So, how often can you think about this? How often do we recognize something as being off? How misaligned? Something just doesn't feel right before we actually admit it out loud. Why do we wait until discomfort becomes disruptive before we act? Um, what causes us to ignore patterns that are trying to tell us something, right? Alignment uh, begins with noticing these yellow flags. Yellow flags are our early warning system. There are early indicators that something no longer is aligned. Something is skewed. Like, with, doesn't matter what it is. It could be with who we are, where we are, what we're doing, our values, our operations. Something is misaligned. And that's what those yellow flags that we tend to ignore are telling us. See, effective leaders learn to recognize those patterns before they become problems, right? When it comes down to growth, growth begins when you acknowledge that something that you've been avoiding needs to be addressed. Sometimes those yellow flags are signals that we are outgrown the situation, outgrown this belief, outgrown our role, outgrown the operating system, just grew. And that's okay, right? So, what I want to ask you to do this: pay attention to stuff that keeps repeating themselves. I don't care how small it is, but if it keeps coming up, pay attention. Patterns deserve more attention than isolated events. We need to look at those things. Instead of asking how bad it is, ask yourself, well, how long has this been showing up? That's a mindset shift. It's probably nothing to what might this be telling me? Now, I want you to consider this, that all yellow flags do not become red flags. I am not trying to be an alarmist here. All yellow flags do not become red flags, but ignoring the signals rarely makes them disappear. So I want you to take a moment and reflect. What patterns have you been noticing that you've convinced yourself is not important yet? That's the pattern that you need to look at. Those are the things that you need to think about, because that's your yellow flag and it's telling you something. And that's just my 2 cents.